Hi, this is Steve with Thresher Media Group. Welcome to When You're Ready to Listen. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the truth about God, things you may not have understood, may not have been taught, or quite frankly, had a very hard time believing. And since our entire relationship with God rests on believing, it is important we learn how to separate the truth from the many lies and fictions that abound within the religion of Christianity. So when you're ready to listen, tune in and discover a pathway to freedom, encouragement, life, and hope. A couple of quick reminders. As usual, Thresher Media Group is a 501c3 public charity, and we rely entirely on donations from our listeners. If the Spirit leads you, please support this ministry. It's easy to do. Just go to the website, threshermediagroup.com, and click the Donate tab in the header. I also encourage you to go to Amazon and pick up a copy of Liberating the Book of Revelation, Returning to the Source of the Message. This book is intended to help us all know what the Spirit said and how He said it. This book is focused not on interpreting the book of Revelation. That is what this podcast is for, but on accurately representing the book of Revelation in the manner in which the Spirit originally spoke it to John. It's available in all formats, hardback, paperback, ebook format, and as an audible. In our last podcast, we dove deep into the historical spread of the great harlot's apostasy, beginning in Babel with Nimrod, but which took form, substance, and power through his wife Semiramis and her son Tammuz, who provides us with the first satanic messianic ripoff. She spread her apostasy all across the globe and became drunk with the blood of the saints, as her system has no tolerance for the bondservants of God. Let's continue. Episode 142, Revelation 17, verses 6 through 8. The mystery of the woman and the beast. Revelation 17, 6 through 7. When I was seeing her, I admired her with great wonder. And the angel said to me, "Why did you admire? I will in the future tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that is now carrying her, which is now having the 7 heads and 10 horns." The rebuke. Instead of making John nauseous and sick that he was seeing this drunklet harlot tossing down the blood of the saints, he admired her and was fascinated with her, struck with her wonder. That is how beautiful, powerful, attractive, and seductive this woman can be. I mean, we've all been there. We have all admired religion in its form and motion. We've all been smitten and have just wanted one more drink, especially when it involves our service and our worship of God. And like those who drink and drink of her abominations, we have admired with great wonder the power of this harlot as she controls people and resources the world over. The angel asked John, "Why did you admire?" This was not just a casual comment, but it was a rebuke, a check on his emotions. The angel wanted John to proverbially take a look in the mirror and understand that he has an issue with this woman. In Revelation 19:10 and 20, verse 8, it will become evident why this rebuke was necessary. John had reserved and protected within his heart a comfy place for this harlot. It is revealed when twice he bows down to worship an angel instead of God, something which stems from the Babylonian system of worship, which focused on the worship of the stars of heaven, the angels. The beast. The angel then assures John that he will, in the future, tell him of the mystery of the woman and of the beast that is now carrying her, which now is having the 7 heads and 10 horns. Finally, an explanation. Ha! Made you look. As we've come to expect, this mystery is explained quite mysteriously. So we're going to have to stick to the code to begin to understand this relationship between the woman and the beast. As to the odd use of the future tense, which we have not seen very often in this book, it seems to indicate that even though the angel is going to give John some sort of an explanation, in the next few seconds, which is why the use of the future tense is so odd, the extent of his revelation about the beast will be something revealed to future generations, perhaps to us. Revelation 17:8. The beast that you saw was, and now is not, and is now about to now come up out of the abyss and now go to destruction. The first part of the explanation takes us backward to the present and then forward into the future, with a few more stops in the present before going back to the future. So buckle up. The beast you saw was. The words saw and was both are expressions of the past, but with two different forms of the past tense. The beast you saw utilizes the aorist active indicative, but was is uniquely rendered in the imperfect active indicative. The contrasting renderings intentionally draw our attention to the fact that the beast was and that he had an existence previously. This is not just expressing a past event, but a past existence. Those who do not follow the code miss these sorts of intentional distinctions that have been placed precisely as the Spirit intended, so that we might come to understand how he sees things from the heavenly realms. And now is not. This phrase is rendered in the present active indicative. At the time of the revelation, and until its release from the abyss, the beast is in effect not. Given the fact that we know the spirit of the Antichrist, the beast, is active in the world, this cannot mean that he has no actual existence, nor does it mean that he is not impacting our world. There's far more to this dynamic than we can grasp. The point is that this angelic spirit once had place, position, and prominence in and amongst the angelic forces. He was. But having been being butchered by God and interned in the abyss, he has none of that. It has all been stripped away from him. He now operates in stealth and perhaps through agents who are preparing for his release. The only position he now holds is that of the angel of the abyss, where he rules as king over a terrifying demonic army, those locust-like demons with scorpion tails. Spirits are non-corporeal beings. They do not have physical bodies. But clearly within the spirit world, God has been showing us that they indeed have substance and form that fits their function. But even now, this spirit, the beast, is locked so deeply in the abyss that he is not seen even by those who are traversing the spiritual realms. He now is not. And is now about to now come up out of the abyss. The entire phrase is rendered in the present tense. The pump is primed, so to speak, and the wheels are even now in motion. From God's perspective of time, along the end times narrative, the beast is now about to now come up out of the abyss. In other words, this is a guaranteed outcome. He will be released, and on God's timeline, it will be soon. Clearly, a lot must happen before the beast is released from the abyss at the sounding of the fifth trumpet. But it is all in place. He is now about to come up from the deep, dark hole to which he has been interned during the time that he now is not. And now go to destruction. In the Codex, we are told that this man who is possessed by the beast, the king, will do as he pleases, and he will prosper until the indignation or the wrath is completed. For that which is decreed will be done. And what has been decreed? A complete destruction. One that is decreed will be poured out on the one who makes desolate or causes horror. The beast, whose name is destruction or destroyer, will wreak massive destruction and horror on the people of God and upon the inhabitants of the earth. But he too is marked for complete destruction. He will have his time on this earth, 42 months or 3.5 years, to destroy. During this time, he will do as he pleases until the time of God's wrath or indignation is completed. This is how we know that the beast will not be active during the first half of the tribulation. During that time, the first half of the tribulation, the man we call the Antichrist will be possessed by lesser demons as they guide him to the place of prominence in the earth. Once the beast is released from the abyss at the sounding of the fifth trumpet, then and only then will he possess the man. All of this occurs right near the middle of the 3.5 year periods of the tribulation, and his authority will continue through the time of the 7 vials of wrath until the second coming of Christ. But after this time, he too will get his comeuppance, for he will be harshly punished. A complete destruction is his destiny, though it will not be in the abyss. Rather, this spirit, this beast, will be tossed into the lake of fire for complete destruction. The codex is clear. The beast was slain, and its body was destroyed and given to the burning fire. And would now go to destruction, being rendered in the present tense. This is even now his destiny. There is no escaping it. The destroyer is now doomed to destruction. Isaiah 33:1. Woe to you, O destroyer, while you were not destroyed, and he who is treacherous, while others did not deal treacherously with him. As soon as you finish destroying, you will be destroyed. As soon as you cease to deal treacherously, others will deal treacherously with you. They will all wonder. Revelation 17:8. The beast that you saw was, and now is not, and is now about to now come up out of the abyss, and now go to destruction. And they will in the future be caused to wonder, those who are now dwelling on the earth, whose name has not been caused to have been written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. They are now seeing the beast, that he was, and now is not, and will in the future choose to come. This passage is about a very specific group of people who are identified by several peculiar attributes. Number one, they, this plurality, will in the future be caused to wonder or to be amazed. Number two, they are now dwelling on the earth. Being rendered in the present tense, this would include the now from the time of John to the now of our day. These types of people are always around. They have made the earth their abode, their dwelling place. They are attached to it to get all it can give. Perhaps these are those some refer to as the global elite, the internationalists, the Illuminati. 3, they are now seeing the beast that he was and now is not, and will in the future choose to come. The use of the future tense is in stark contrast and stark comparison with the prior sentence, which said that the beast is now about to now come up out of the abyss. This group is in the game, so to speak. They see and they know what is going on. They're tapped into the spiritual realms of darkness. From their perspective of time, they know that in the future, the beast is coming, and they anticipate and look forward to his arrival. He is their coming king, their coming Messiah, the one they believe will save them. They are a collective, those. They are ascribed and identified by one name that is oddly singular and not plural. So it does not match the plurality of those. One would think the sentence would read, those whose names were not caused to have been written. However, the Spirit intentionally draws our attention to one singular name for the collective. Number 5, the book of life would be a reference to the Lamb's book of life, which is mentioned 8 times in the Codex, 6 of which are in Revelation. This book was apparently inscribed in from the time of the foundation of the world. From the very beginning, it had names written within it. Number 6, the translation world might be a bit misleading because in our culture, we tend to tie together the words world and the earth, and we use them somewhat interchangeably. The Greek word is cosmos. Contextually, the Spirit does not seem to be addressing the earth, which is a different Greek word. He does not seem to be contrasting the heavens with the earth, nor metaphorically addressing the world system, but simply the foundation of the cosmos or the universe. Both foundation and world are nouns. This takes us back to the very beginning, to a place where God formed the physical realms. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The Spirit speaks of this as an event. The name and the book of life. We addressed this singular name and the book of life back in Revelation 13:8, but let's review it once again so it is fresh in our minds. There is one name that is used in the Codex that describes those who not only in the future will wonder or be amazed, but are even now seeing the beast, and that they understand the work of the beast, the destroyer, and they work in unison with his purposes and his agenda to usher in his arrival. This collective is those who willingly worship the beast and take his name or the number of his name, not just on their forehead, but on their right hand, showing their fealty to the beast through offering him their power and strength. The Codex refers to these people with a unique name. They are called vessels of wrath that have been fitted or prepared for destruction by their own choice and by the hand of God. This name functions as a double entendre of sorts, which addresses the issues of both predestination and personal sovereignty. The vessels of wrath have been prepared for destruction, and they have prepared themselves for destruction. literally for relationship with Apollyon, Abaddon, the beast, whose name is destruction. In Romans 9:22, the Codex makes this duality of sovereignty and choice quite clear. Let's quickly look at the extended passage with a focus on the preparation of these vessels of wrath. Romans chapter 9, verses 19 through 24. You will in the future say to me then, why does he now choose to find fault? For who has resisted his will? On the contrary, who now are you, O man, who now chooses to be answering back to God? The thing molded will not in the future say to the molder, why were you making me like this? Will it? Or does not the potter now have the right over the clay to make from the same lump one vessel for honorable use and another for common use? What if God, although now willing to choose to demonstrate his wrath and to make his power known, endured with much patience vessels of wrath, caused to being prepared for destruction, choosing to being prepared for destruction? And he did so to make known the riches of his glory upon vessels of mercy, which he prepared beforehand for glory, even us, whom he also called, not from among Jews only, but also from among Gentiles. The overall issue being addressed in this passage is fairness. If God is truly sovereign and no one can resist his will, then is it fair for God to hold accountable in judgment those who do evil? After all, God is the one who should take the blame, and not those who do evil. But that is only half the story. For there is also an underlying issue of personal sovereignty. For when it comes to these vessels of wrath prepared for the destroyer, the Spirit uses a parsed verb, meaning that the verb has two applications. The verb is presented in both the perfect passive participle, God had been fixing or preparing them, and in the perfect middle participle. They had dug down deep in their soul and chose to be preparing themselves for destruction. In this passage, destruction is a noun and not a verb. In other words, they have been prepared for destruction, and they have prepared themselves for destruction, literally for relationship with Apollyon, Abaddon, the beast whose name is destruction. Thus, when we are told that those who are now dwelling on the earth, whose name was not caused to have been written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, we can be sure that they had a choice in the matter. And they made a choice, and God sealed them in their choice. Therefore, in his sovereignty, he was not recording the vessels of wrath in the Lamb's book of life. In this study, we have often referred to this group as the accursed. According to our passage, this choice was made outside of time, before the foundation of the cosmos. As such, this choice by God and by these vessels of wrath were part of God's completed works from which he rested on the seventh day. Hence the decision being fixed in terms of their exclusion from the Lamb's book of life. All of this presents a sort of harmony which exists outside of the constructs of time. Those who are not written in the book of life are those whom he knew would always choose to make their abode in this world, regardless of all the means and ways that he reached out and communicated to them that they should choose him, or at least thank him. This is abundantly clear through their abject refusal to repent, regardless of the terrors of judgment that are poured out on their lives via the 7 vials of the great wrath of God. Yahweh is the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end, the one who sees all things outside of the construct of time. Romans 8:29 is clear. It is in God's foreknowledge that he predestines. In his foreknowledge of the choices each person will make, exercising their own personal sovereignty, given each set of circumstances which Yahweh Adonai appoints, he calls, chooses, and predestines the affairs of that person, and thereby sets forth that person's eternal destiny. This includes their name not being written in the Lamb's book of life. Make no mistake, as mind-twisting as this issue is, with destiny being formed outside of linear time, it is never devoid of choice, personal sovereignty, the right of each person to choose their destiny. Each of these people have been prepared for destruction, and they have prepared themselves for destruction. This whole dynamic is very similar to those people of God whom Yahweh swears in his wrath that they will not enter his rest, because they are those who will not choose to enter his rest. This rest is available to them, but he knows they will never choose it, so he agrees with them and declares that they will not choose to enter his rest. With God, there always seems to be this overlap between a person's choice and God in his sovereignty, sealing them in their choice. In contrast, but by way of reinforcing the point, in speaking of the 144,000, that great multitude which no one could count, from every nation and all tribes and peoples and tongues, who had been standing before the throne and before the Lamb, having chosen to being clothed with the white robes, the Spirit said that they are those who even now are digging deep down in their soul and making the choice to be coming out of the great tribulation. God has marked them as his own, and they have chosen to be marked, and in so doing are those who even now make the choice to not participate in the great tribulation. Once again, all of this presents a sort of harmony which exists outside of the constructs of time, the choices of which are inserted into time and played out in our lives. They will be amazed. This section starts with the phrase, and they will in the future be caused to wonder. Perhaps when the kingdom of the beast arrives on the scene at the blowing of the second trumpet, it's even more powerful and dominating than they could have hoped for. Looking back at Revelation 8:8, a third of the governmental institutions and a third of the military and political groups operating amongst the nations will deliberately choose to join the beast. And to top it all off, 1/3 of the religious organizations that have been rotting away for years will be worthless to help others take a stand against the kingdom of the beast. More likely, they will be those who lead the persecution of the chosen. And when the destroyer is released from the abyss and supercharged with the dragon's power, throne, and great authority, it is all so much more glorious than they could have imagined. When he moves against the two witnesses of God and has them slaughtered in the land of religious apostasy, these, whose name has not been caused to be written in the Lamb's book of life, will be caused to wonder or to be amazed. In fact, they'll be so elated at the slaughter of the two witnesses that they will party and exchange gifts. To them, it will be a time of the beast's glory, a time in which they get to share. Though this podcast is shorter than usual, we are going to stop here because the next section is about the kingdom of the beast, and it really needs to flow without interruptions. Expect some exciting material next week. I'm glad you tuned in and have been ready to listen. To get a free download of the full written transcript with all the scripture references footnoted, please go to threshermediagroup.com. That is THRESHER mediagroup.com. This is Steve with Thresher Media Group. When you're ready to listen, tune in.